Hui hui! It's Lucy again, and for this video, I'll be doing a book review of a book that I just read, which is The Firm by John Grisham. Hoorah! So, let's begin talking about The Firm by John Grisham. So, this book talks about Mitch McDear. Now, he is just like a recent law school graduate of Harvard, and he gets to be employed by a law firm in Memphis, Tennessee, okay? And it had so many great things that was offered to him, like, great compensation, great properties like houses, a BMW, and all sorts of stuff, lots of perks. But like, what Mitch's brother said, whose name is Ray, everything always comes with a price. So when I was like reading, the first part where they were talking about, the compensation, the perks of being, an associate and like, later you're up being a partner in the law firm, I felt like something's kind of fishy about this one. It's like it's too good to be true, And later on, he discovers that there is something fishy about the firm when the FBI approaches him, okay, and by the name of Wayne Terrence, who approached him and revealed that they have been after the law firm that Mitch McDear is working for. So he's kind of like in the zone wherein does he stay loyal because historically he knows that there were some suspicious deaths that happened in the firm, which by the way Wayne Terrence told him. So it's either that or is he just gonna cooperate with the FBI. So, and that's where the story goes. I would say that there's a lot of action involved in this book. Like almost every single chapter is so captivating. It's like this is like a great legal thriller. I would recommend this. I know this was already turned into a film, which Tom Cruise was like the main actor. And if you guys have probably watched this one, I still recommend you to read this one. Even though I honestly haven't seen the film, so I don't know if it's as good as it is. But still, regardless, I recommend you to read this one because it's just so captivating. And I think it might help if you've already watched the film, But to me, it was just like, the thing about thrillers is that you would like to be curious of what's going to happen next. You would want to have that eagerness of what is going to happen next. Like, how is this going to turn out? You want to be excited for that. And this book brought it. After every scene, from all these revelations that were happening, it kind of goes to the writing style. John Grisham, in this book, for me so far, this was the one that he had the most, the best way in how he synthesized the events, the scenes, basically. It was, there are different stories along the way, of course. This is what happens here, this is what happens there. But it wasn't like something that, okay, there was a disconnect or it seems like, oh, this scene is not necessary anymore. It's almost I think every scene here matters. It's just that in some scenes during the latter part that was a bit to me, there were times that I disconnected with it. I kind of okay, what was going on again? It was a bit confusing. Was there another character or is this already an existing one? But overall, I really was captivated throughout it. And what's interesting is that this is one of the books that he wrote like earlier on his career. So it's interesting that I enjoyed it a lot more. Usually with like books that were written in an author's like earlier years as an author, usually they're still like, from what I noticed, still finding kind of like what it is that's gonna like hit their audience, or like, you know, it's kind of like they still kind of sound like a beginner. This one, it's like, I think if this isn't the first, I think this is the second book that he published, and it was genius. It's like, it's great, you know. The other books that I also enjoyed, his other books, you know, you guys know that I read The Appeal earlier this year. It was pretty good. There were some disconnects in that one as well, but that was a pretty good book. It did elicit emotions. This one, it elicited a lot. I was like thrilled. It's intense. I was like creeped out. The characters were like, you know, I don't really pay attention to characters. It's like a bonus when they help in evoking emotions. Like for me, how do I say it? Like, if you're the type of person who would be attached to characters, you might you might not like them, and you might say, oh, the book had bad characters. But the thing is, like, I didn't like the villains here, but that like made the book so strong, if that makes any sense. Like, it made me hate them, which is like a good thing. Now, I don't know if this will be called like trigger warnings, but let me just like warn you folks. Now, this is set like in the early 90s, I believe, wherein diversity isn't much of a thing, because during the first part, it described like the locations being all male, all white, kind of like a tip, like, I'm not from America, so correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But from how I am getting from this book, you know, wherein diversity is not much talked about, I believe, earlier in the history of humanity existence. Basically, the scenery here is like all white, all male, and kind of like in a southern city of the United States. So if those things affect you, if you are the type of person who don't like to read like all male, all white stuff seen, although there are female characters here, but it's like the law firm was described in a way that it was very patriarchal, okay? Which I think that's how it was, and that's what is being portrayed in the way that this existed. You know, it happens. So it's great for me to read stories like these, and that's why I like reading, you know, John Grisham's books. It, you know, opens me to like different perspectives of what, you know, how things can be, and I get to learn more about the United States legal, you know, like laws, legal terms, you know, the legal industry, you name it. So yeah, and I gave this book, or I'm giving this book, 4.75 out of 5 stars. Minus 0.25 for the little disconnect, but overall I was so attached. I held on. I wanted to know what was gonna happen next. I wanted to flip the page. It's like I can just like, when I was like in the middle of it, I was like, well, not really in the middle, but like in page 400. I wanted to see like how this is gonna end. I was so excited. So that's how powerful this book is to me. Like, it had a great impact, which, you know, that's why it has a very high rating from me. So yeah, so feel free to comment down below if you want to read this one, or if you have any other John Grisham books that you read that you can recommend, or any thoughts if you guys have already read this. So I'd like to hear them, and I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. Also, I'll be linking down my social media accounts and handles, so feel free to check me out and follow me there as well. As always, thank you super much for watching. Let us continue seeking for wisdom and unleash the reader in you. Bye, y'all. Whoa.